This is Robert Daniel Jackson reporting for Infowars.com. I am from Mamaroneck, New York. Recently, the Royal Institute has decided to do a study in which they allegedly reveal that the human population is too much for the world to allegedly handle, and they call for elite controlled depopulation, and they're using environmentalism as an excuse for this. And now a lot of the environmentalist doctrines have been founded and corrupted by a certain organization started by Prince Philip of I do not know which country, but I think it was Sweden. And he was a known Nazi sympathizer during World War II, and he established this elite-controlled depopulation program through many environmentalist organizations. Now, this elite-controlled depopulation claims that they want to reduce the world's population by 2050 to 2 billion or 1.5 billion, which is hardly 20% of the 9 billion which it would actually be in 2050 if we kept the rate of normal human reproduction. Now, this is very startling as it reveals their plans to have an amount of human beings that is sustainable for the New World Order, so that these governments, these police states can basically sustain people, they can control people, and they know that there's going to be a lot of free-thinking people. If there's more people, the less free thinkers, because they assume it's going to be a steady percentage. So they're reducing the population so it's more sustainable for their New World Order, for their police state, so that they could basically control the population. And they're doing this now through Monsanto, through the fluoride in the water. Fluoride was actually used by the Nazis during World War II to basically kill off anyone who publicly dissented against them. And this same fluoride is in our water now, and there are actually many cities which admit to having debris and like traces of dead things in the water. Also, the USDA and FDA legally allow up to 12 or so maggots to be in a can of mushrooms. And they're doing this all through Monsanto, through the genetically modified organizations, through all these disgusting practices. They're shutting organic farmers down, claiming anyone who disagrees with the state is a public enemy, doing all these horrendous things. And it's ironic because the FBI, of course, in their list of alleged hate organizations, of course they list the neo-Nazis and the KKK, but then after that, they start listing groups which just disagree with the government, groups that peacefully rebel against the government and have nothing to do with real hate groups like the neo-Nazis or the KKK. And the ironic thing is, these neo-Nazis, which the government claims to oppose, These neo-Nazis, which the government claims to oppose, follow the self-same policy of calling their enemies terrorists. And these are just all the disgusting things going on, and in the end, maybe, if we make the public aware, we'll win. This is Daniel Jackson, reporting for Infowars.com.
Go ahead.
Do you know that Russia and the USA are preparing military drills on U.S. soil in which the government classifies people who dissent against them as terrorists?
No, I didn't know that.
What do you think of this?
The part about not knowing about it, or
how the U.S. is allowing Russia to have military drills on U.S. soil against people who the government classifies as terrorists.
That Russia's doing this against terrorists, or
Russia is allegedly helping America to do this against terrorists, but they're being allowed to have military drills on their soil.
On U.S. soil?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea for U.S. to be forming those kind of alliances or allowing that to happen to Russians, even though that we'd have to, I don't know, investigate terrorists and do whatever means necessary, but it's not a good idea for U.S. to really have their hands in on that.
So what would you think when I told you that the U.S. government is giving the Russian military the power to indefinitely detain and imprison American citizens on charges of terrorism.
The U.S. is allowing that?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a wise move for the U.S. to really be in on that.
Yeah, neither do I.
And yeah, I don't know. It's not good. Not good that we don't know about it.
What do you think this means for the liberty and the Constitution that America is founded on?
I think anything that inflicts the Constitution, where we can't kind of look at it in different ways and know more about it and have, fair judgment for all of us, then not being a part of what we don't know is not very nice or cool at all. So,
what do you think of the similarities between U.S. candidate Mitt Romney and U.S. President Barack Obama?
I really haven't paid attention to it much. I don't know what the similarities are.
Well, they both support a very controlling government. They're both pro-war. Mitt Romney switches on and off between Republican, Democrat. He switches on and off between a lot of things.
Well, then that's kind of weird that they're both they're both pro-war and people find that they're very similar.
Right.
Right.
Also, that at the debates, what are they even going to debate about?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. So, next question. What do you think of the U.S.'s unconstitutional involvement in foreign countries?
I think they ought to get out.
Yeah.
Why should they have to? Why should the United States feel they have to police every single nation in the world?
Right.
Furthermore, what do you think of how David Rothschild, the heir of the Rothschild fortunes, is paraded as an environmentalist by many mainstream media magazines, and how he actually did this basically stunt tour when he sailed around the world on a boat made out of plastic to make himself look like some sort of eco-friendly,
Meanwhile, what is he doing to the environment? Is he doing destructive things?
Well, he supports Monsanto, he supports all these non-organic things, but meanwhile he's all talk about climate change and global warming and all that.
Well, then, he's trying to smooth things over with public relations.
Right. Right. Also, this is getting into the religious category, but do you think it's startling how he looks exactly like the Catholic depictions of Jesus Christ, and if the governments might use this to hail him as some sort of savior figure?
I don't know about that. I haven't seen his picture. So.
Well, he looks exactly like Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah?
So I think the governments might try to hail him as a savior, and he could even be possibly the biblically prophesied Antichrist. It's possible.
I doubt that, but anyway.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the number of farms in the United States has fallen from about 6.8 million in 1935 to only 2 million today. However, that doesn't mean that there's less farming going on. And personally, I think this is because that most of the farms today are not natural, not organic, and they're basically these big corporations. And these corporations are horrible. They abuse the animals, they slaughter them, and then they basically put all sorts of chemicals in them, ammonia and everything. Also, for those who like to keep kosher, a lot of supermarket chicken contains traces of pork, which is some people who follow the kosher laws don't like. It could be a lot of animal remains are found in items that are supposed to be vegetarian. Also, there's just a lot of controversy going on, including the pink slime controversy, where it was laced with ammonia. Also, it's just, personally, to go into grander scales of things, I think all these corporations give the communist dictatorships an excuse to exist, saying, oh, look at all these corporations, we all have to share now, and that's their excuse. Then they established their totalitarian police states, like in Russia, and slowly communism and these corporatism will just merge into the New World Order. But to get back to what we were originally saying, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, it just ties in with the depopulation we were originally talking about. And this is Robert Jones Jackson reporting for Infowars.com.